Okay, so in the last lesson, we generated out our comment schema by just using the LiveView generator. So we did Phoenix Gen Live and we made our comment schema. It resulted in building out the application for us. And last time we ran our migration file that was ran for us. We did that by just clicking the button that pops up here in Phoenix LiveView because it's super convenient for us. And so now we're going to just add these comments here into one of these existing routes. So the way that we can insert another LiveView component into an existing component, I'll just show you a quick demo of how that works before we actually put our comments in here, but it's going to be very similar for our comments. I'm just going to show you that when you go into, so this route here, which is the stories and then the number of the story that we want to read. So this is, if you remember, inside of our lib blog web, and this is our LiveView story for the show module. And this show module, we want to, we're going to basically add the comments here. So we're going to add comments here. But just as a quick example, if we wanted to have another component render here, the way that we would do that, we can have something like, let's see, if we go in our comment live here, we'll just leave everything the way it is now for comment live folder, just in case we decide to reuse some of these components. So we'll just create a new file for now. And we'll just call this one test, and we're going to have a test module, and we're also going to have a test HTML Heex file here. Inside of our test file, we're just going to do def module. So I'm just creating this from scratch, but this is going to be our blog web. This is our comment live route, and this is just going to be a test module. We're going to use the blog web, and we are also going to make this a live view. And then we will just need to mount this. So we can just do def mount, and we can mount. We're not going to use any of the params. We're not going to use the session. Now you don't have to follow along with me in this lesson, by the way, if you don't want to. This is just, I just wanted to demonstrate at least this part of the showing you how to render another component inside of another. So I'm just going to demonstrate that we can mount. Okay, so we're going to just bring the socket in here. So you need to have a mount, right? So if you have a module, you need to mount it, and then you either need to have a render function here, or if you have a Heex file, then that will be rendered for you. So we're just going to have a paragraph, and it can just say, you know, hello, this is from another file that we are using as a test example, and then I'll close my paragraph. So very simple. So the question though is like, how do you get this Heex file to render inside of this page when we click into a story? Because what we want to do is have comments basically appear here. So we're going to need to have another Heex file basically render inside of here, or something of that nature. So let's do this. So this is blog web live, story live, show HTML Heex. And so we're going to bring this in but we can just directly call this test file that we created. So we need to call our application name, which is blog web. And then we need to grab the LiveView component by its name. So here we have comment live. So this is going to be the comment live. And then we need to drill down into our test module. So we're going to grab our test module. And that's all we have to do to make this render out here on our page. So now if we come back here, okay, so it says it's an invalid tag. Okay, so what we need to do then in that case is we need to call the test render. So that's a good thing to remember. Yeah, so that's a little bit of one of those gotchas. So watch out for that. Make sure you call blog web comment live test and then render. So if we just try to bring it in here directly, it's not going to let us because it's considered an invalid tag because it's not really a tag at that point. It needs to be generated in HTML in order to be inserted here on this page. And the way that we do that is we just tell it to render so that it's valid HTML that can display on the page. So now it says, hello, this is from another file that we're using as a test example. So this is how you can bring other components into your file. So I know that's a little bit of an interlude, but I just wanted to demonstrate that concept, because essentially what we need to do here is we need this to basically say, like, you know, this is where users will read and make comments. So we need something like this where the users can read and make comments. And then this is really close to our list here. And again, Phoenix LiveView now ships with Tailwind, so we can just do class and we can just add like margin top and we can add 20. And then we can space this out or however we want to. So very, very convenient, very quick and easy to do. And this is a good trick to remember. I'm glad that I did this example actually. I just kind of going off the cuff here. And if we didn't do this, then if you tried, you might be confused how you actually insert other components, LiveView components into another. And so you have to call it by its name and also tell it to render. So that way there's valid HTML text here that can be inserted into the LiveView component. So very, very cool stuff. So what we're going to do now that we have this demonstrated, we're going to expand upon this concept and we're going to put our comments in here for real. All right, so actually that was actually a really useful lesson about how to render other components inside of another. So what I'm going to do is I'm actually going to end the lesson here, since this was kind of a valuable lesson that you might want to refer to on its own if you're trying to bring other components into other LiveView components. What we're going to do in the next lesson, though, is what I've actually, now that I'm thinking about it, the when we generate out when we use the LiveView generators, it creates the form component for us. The form component already has all of the code we need, really. So for the most part, we can probably get away to just put in the comments form component into our page directly. I actually don't think we need any of the LiveView stuff that's generated for us. So I'm going to just end the lesson here, and in the next lesson, I'll demonstrate that concept. All right, so this lesson was just really to show you that if you needed to bring another component or create your own component that renders inside of another, you know, we have one that's in a story live folder, we have another that's in comment live folder, and we're taking the test file module, we're taking that entire LiveView component and bringing it into the story where we show the story. So that's a good, very, very useful and helpful thing to know. So I hope that you enjoyed this lesson and you'll be able to kind of log that in the back of your mind. Originally, I was thinking we're going to need to take, you know, one of these files here, one of these files, such as the show HTML Heex or the index Heex here for the comment, and put it into our page. But I actually don't think we need to do that in retrospect. We can actually just bring the form component directly in, since that renders out the form. So I'll see you over in the next lesson where we'll go ahead and we'll do that together. But you now have that skill set at your disposal if you needed to bring another component into another. All right, so I'll see you over in the next lesson. We'll go ahead and put that comment field right here in the next lesson.